Welcome to the session on secondary data collection and review for used water management planning. Hi, I'm Karthik. I work with WASH Institute. In this session, we will look at why it is important to collect secondary data. What are the data sets one should review, the possible sources of secondary data, and how to analyze the data collected. We will also look at the limitations of the secondary data. What do we mean by secondary data? It is the information that already exists. It can be government records and reports in physical or digital formats. It can be research reports published by academicians, NGOs, and similar institutions. It can also be other publications like policy and regulatory documents. Secondary data is a critical starting point for any used water management planning. It's a cost-effective way to get relevant information on existing scenario quickly, unlike primary data collection that is expensive and time-consuming. Secondary data helps in understanding what is happening over time and in different locations. Last but not the least, it helps in identifying the gaps in data points and hence in designing reconnaissance survey and primary data collection. Let's now look at the types of secondary data required. There are 6 types of secondary data required for used water management planning. Profile of the town, demographic details, spatial data, data on hydrogeology and climate, water supply and used water systems, existing infrastructure on water and sanitation. Let's look at each of them in detail. First is the town profile, which is the basic information such as the town's area and number of wards, which helps to define the project boundary. Second is the demographic data, including fixed and floating population, population density, and the number of households. This data is crucial for projecting the population over the design period and estimating used water generation. Third is the spatial data, which captures boundaries, land use patterns, sewerage and drainage layouts, and the locations of water bodies, all of which are vital for spatial planning of used water management. Fourth, we will look at the hydrogeological and the climate data such as soil type, water table, and average rainfall. This will help in deciding the combination of solutions which are best suited for the town. Fifth, under water supplied and used water generation, we will look at the sources of water and the types of water supply systems. This will help in estimating the used water generation. Finally, we will look for data available on infrastructure, services and practices being followed across the sanitation chain to identify the gaps in used water management infrastructure. A checklist to help you gather all the secondary data can be downloaded from the link provided in the description of the video. Various sources can be explored to get the data for the subheads discussed. To understand the town profile and the demography, one can go through the website of the town or district and look for the information in the census. For spatial data, one can check with the urban local bodies if they have any maps or geographic information system files available with them. One can also check if there were any topography surveys done in the recent past. Geographic information system files are much more accurate than printed maps, and effort should be made to collect the same if the urban local bodies or any other agencies have prepared them. For hydrogeology and climate data, one can look at a detailed project reports of implemented projects and district groundwater database. To get an understanding of water supplied and used water generated in the town, one can go through the City Water Balance Plan, City Sanitation Action Plan, or detailed project reports of implemented projects. These documents can be sourced from urban local bodies or state parastatals like water and sewerage boards. To understand the infrastructure services and the practices followed across the sanitation chain, one can look at various reports developed by urban local bodies for Swachh Bharat Mission, Swachh Sarvekshan, service level benchmarks, detailed project reports developed for any stage of sanitation chain. Reports prepared by service providers like operators of treatment plants, will also be useful to go through. While gathering secondary data, it is important to keep in mind that most up-to-date information is being collected. It is accurate, it is from a reliable source, and it is complete. There is a lot of data available these days. It will be good to filter out relevant data for which the checklist provided can help. One should deploy a systematic approach to collect, store, and manage secondary data. One can use this template to compile all the relevant information and observations in the given subheads along with the sources used to extract that information and the data gaps found. This can act as a status report based on a secondary data analysis. Uncertain and missing data should be highlighted for further verification. In summary, secondary data collection and review is a critical starting point which lays a foundation of the planning. There are 6 types of data that are relevant to used water management. Efforts should be made to ensure data is accurate, complete, reliable, and up-to-date. Checklist of the datasets required and the format to compile information is available to use. Extensive review of secondary data can help in identifying data gaps and contribute to planning of reconnaissance survey and primary data collection. Thank you for going through the session.